Greetings, Hempster. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Hemp episode of HempAware Radio. Tyler Hemp here, your hempreneurial host, here to hempower and hempucate your hemposphere because it's hemportant for food, homes, clothing, energy, healing, and so much more. And on today's Hempucational show, I have special guest Gene Jones with the Florida Industrial Hemp Conference and Expo. And I had a great call with him about a week ago. And what he shared with me was very inspiring and was the foundation of why he, along with his life partner, Dana Jones, have been putting these events on for the last 3 years. And I look forward to sharing with you what he's doing to market his brand and some of the amazing benefits of attending the Industrial Hemp Conference that they've been putting on in Orlando, Florida. But before we dive into our conversation, I want to remind you that HempAware, we understand how hemp entrepreneurs and hemp companies can get distracted with all the hemp opportunities and different tactics out there for marketing your business. And with over 18 years of experience in both industrial hemp as well as marketing and branding, we're ideally positioned to help you succeed with hemp. And we'd be honored to talk to you about your goals. You can visit hempaware.com and just schedule a free demo call, and we can talk about how to help you accomplish your hemp goals. So in the spirit of also supporting you on your hempreneurial journey, I'm honored and delighted to introduce you to Gene Jones of the Florida Industrial Hemp Conference and Expo. So thank you so much for being on the show today, Gene.
Oh, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right on. So would you mind sharing a little bit about your background and what led you up to creating such an important conference for the hemp industry there in Florida?
Yeah, sure, Tyler. Actually, my main hat that I wear on a day in, day out basis is I run a nonprofit that assists industry in the waste arena, recycling, waste management. I've been doing that since 1981. And we kind of act like a matchmaker, putting waste generators in touch with waste users. As part of that role, we conduct conferences in the environmental sector. And I happen to have a good friend by the name of Ron Watson. And unfortunately, Ron's son, 7 years old, came down with leukemia. And Ron lost his boy because of it. But through the tribulations that Ron went through to try to ease the pain of his son, he realized that, medical cannabis was something that brought relief and, to folks that have leukemia, kids that have it. And so one day Ron and I were talking. He basically quit his job. He was lobbying for an orthopedic association here in the state of Florida. Quit his job and decided that he was going to lobby for medical cannabis here in the state. And one day Ron and I were just chatting real quick, and I told him that I don't know anything about medical cannabis, but I know how to run a conference, and if you ever want to run one, I'd be happy to do that. That was 6 years ago. 3 years ago, as a spinoff of that, I recognized when the state of Florida passed their hemp bill that was going to be the next phase. In fact, in seeing that and seeing the interest in that whole arena, it immediately came to the fruition for me that this is going to be a pretty big industry at some point. And so I jumped in wholehearted to try to bring education and to foster the networking and infrastructure development for the industry here in the state of Florida. So that's kind of how we got started. The relationship with it and getting involved in cannabis and the shift from the medical side into the industrial and the cannabinoids.
Mm-hmm. And that is a lot of times how people are introduced to hemp is through the cannabis plant and the more medical or recreational side of things. And it's a gateway drug in the most positive sense of the word, and then it leads you on to seeing that hemp is a solution for so many of today's problems. And I think it's so important that you're putting on this type of event because education is the foundation of any well-informed consumer group. And so and industry. So I really appreciate what you're doing. But I wanted to ask, why do you feel it's so important to be supporting hemp farmers and hemp-entrepreneurs with an event such as this?
Well, you've kind of touched on it. It's education. So it's not just education of the general public. It's education for the industry. All right. So here you have a state that within the last 3 years have decided that, we're moving forward with hemp. So you have a lot of, to be quite frank about it, a lot of uneducated people here in the state that hear this term industrial hemp, and they got curiosity, right? And so in order to move forward, especially from a business perspective, you need education. You need to know what to do, what not, and probably more importantly, what not to do in this arena. Otherwise, folks are going to waste a lot of money getting involved in this. And, it's been an educational standpoint to learn, just from the cannabinoid side on into the industrial hemp side, the differences between those particular segments of the industry.
Absolutely. So of all the different products that you've seen on the market, what would you say are some of your favorite hemp products that you've experienced or seen?
On the industrial side or the cannabinoid side?
Either or maybe a little bit.
All right. Well, let me just kind of throw out from what I've seen and from some of the events and where I see the opportunities lie, and then specifically here for the state of Florida, where I think things are will eventually end up going. Today I just happened to attend that we had another industrial summit here in Tallahassee. It was called the 850 Industrial Hemp Summit. And this is kind of a spinoff. In the Panhandle here in Florida, a couple of years ago, we had Hurricane Michael that came in, you will recall, a Category 5 storm, and it just devastated the Panhandle between Panama City and Tallahassee. Ruined a bunch of pine forest. And so there's an interest within the economic development side to try to figure out, all right, we've lost all this pine forest. What are we going to have farmers do in the interim to try to make some income? And so there's been this dialogue to try to foster the infrastructure of the industrial hemp industry here in the state, in particular, this particular region. And, some of the presenters that have come in to talk about this, and I know you will know a lot of them. You had Jeff Whaling come in today. Jacob Waddell came in and talked about, what is the opportunities for building with hemp. And that's one of the things that just kind of jumped out at me over the last couple, day and a half of seeing the presentations. When you run an event, sometimes I don't get a chance to sit in and listen to all the presentations because I'm running the show in the background. But today I got to sit in the audience and listen. And it was very, very rewarding because it reminded me that what we are doing is extremely important in fostering the development of the industry. You got to be able to grow. You got to be able to process, and you got to have an end market, end product that you then, take that material and do something with. So love to see what's going on with, hempcrete. Love to see what's going on with, some of the additional products that are coming out of the industry and where this is all headed.
I'm on the same page there. To me, the hemp building products, I think, is probably a exponentially larger industry than even the cannabinoid industry. Just, the sheer numbers as far as building materials and building projects around the world. It's significantly substantial, and I think there's so much potential there. And just the idea of how many people are living in sick building syndrome, with toxic building materials and easily molding materials, drywall and whatnot. It's just so exciting to see the progress. So I'm with you on that as well in terms of the building materials. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you've run into when it comes to, putting on a hemp event, and how were you able to maybe overcome some of those challenges?
Well, again, it goes back to the educational side. One of the things when we bring people together to talk about this, because we do structure our events as industry-related events. So we're not, some of the markets that take place in the shows that open up to the general public. What we focus on is business development and infrastructure development for whatever segment that we're in, whether it's recycling or waste management, or on the cannabis side, hemp side. We're focusing on the business. We're focusing on that infrastructure development and the education aspect of it. The challenge that I have seen within the industry is being able to educate people of what hemp is, compared to, some of the questions that you'll hear is, well, can you smoke it? If we're talking about industrial hemp. And so you have that whole process where you're trying to educate people what it is and what it's not. And then, some of the things that I'm seeing right now in the cannabinoid side, which can potentially cause a black eye on the industrial side, is where cannabinoids are going through their being synthesized. There is some concern there that, some of the concern from legislators, and I know it's happened in other states where they will ban like Delta 8 as an example. That hasn't happened here in the state of Florida yet. But it does raise some issues that could potentially affect the industrial side, the grain and fiber.
Right. For sure. So that further education is really the solution, not only the general public, but these legislators and public officials that may not understand the distinctions, and coming up with regulations that are fair and equitable on all sides. Obviously, it's the goal. It's
that, Tyler, and then it's also, on the building side, one of the bigger issues right now is adoption into building codes with the products that are coming out. Because those products do need to be researched. They do need to, have a level of confidence of being able to, document what it is, the attributes for that particular product. And I think, the work, and I think the work that the U.S. Hemp Builders Association is doing is extremely important to help out in that realm, as well as ASTM, if you're familiar with what ASTM is doing with some of their standards.
For sure. So where would you say the hemp industry needs the most help? Obviously, we identified education, lack of information, but where would you say, just in general, the market itself or hemp entrepreneurs, where do you see the most help that's required right now?
From my perspective, it's going to be in the processing and the end market development. So you can grow hemp, but you better have an outlet for it. Otherwise, you're growing a product without, an end market, without being able to make money. So I see what's desperately needed here in the state of Florida is processing capacity. So we need, and I'm going to talk a little bit on the fiber side, we need processors that can take the fiber and process it and turn it back into an end product that can then go into that building product or go into a fiber side that could be used for paper or whatever it is. You've got to be able to have that processing side.
Yeah. So this might answer my next question a little bit, but what would you say are some of the biggest opportunities or some of the lowest hanging fruits for the hemp industry as a whole, or if someone is an investor or maybe an entrepreneur that wants to start getting into hemp, what do you see are some of the lowest hanging fruits?
And I would say for those that are interested in getting involved in this sector, the lowest hanging fruits, which somebody can get into the market without a level of financial output on their end, is representing products that are made in the area. I'll switch back over to the cannabinoid side. There's a lady here in Tallahassee that started a cannabinoid store solely focusing on cannabinoids, and she's doing wonderful right now just in that market. She doesn't manufacture anything. She doesn't white label anything. She's picked up brand names that have name recognition and is marketing those products and doing quite well. Same thing can be done on the industrial hemp side. I think there's an opportunity to rep products that are made out of industrial hemp without being a manufacturer, without even being a farmer. Folks can get into this and learn the process and move forward from there.
Absolutely, yeah. So to kind of reiterate what you're saying, maybe rather than considering creating your own company and starting from ground zero, maybe find some successful hemp brands out there that you can invest in or partner with in some respect, kind of speed up the process.
Absolutely.
Great point.
Absolutely. It's that all, kind of like affiliation marketing, where you represent, you work with a manufacturer or a distributor and, create a relationship and strike an arrangement where maybe you buy it at wholesale or at a discounted price, and then you turn around and market the product and to create your revenue. So there's a lot of opportunity.
For sure. So speaking of opportunity, where do you see the hemp industry, say, in the next 3 to 5 years? How do you see it different from today?
It is going to advance. It's for sure. I don't think we're going to see a huge jump within the next 3 years, but I think you will see gradually increase in the production. And I personally, from my opinion, I don't think you're going to see a huge jump because we're not there yet on the building side. I think we need those adoptions from the building codes to be able to incorporate additional hemp products into the manufacturing of homes, whether it be residential or commercial. Once that is established, you will then see some tremendous increases in the marketability of hemp here in the U.S.
Most certainly. Yeah, once those certifications and standards are established, it'll be a lot easier for others to develop specialized or unique products from that progress. I totally agree.
And that adoption takes time, and that's the problem. That's why I don't think we're going to see a huge jump. But where there might be other opportunities that will come into fruition might be on the seed side, even in the production of biofuels. I know there's some talk with some folks that have an interest in creating biofuel plants that will be able to crack that seed and separate out the oils and then further refine them into biodiesel or other fuels that can be used to power cars or what have you.
Certainly. So to get more into your actual event, what can your patrons expect, when visiting the show? What's that process look like, or what could they expect to experience?
Yeah, so the way the conference works, we've actually the last couple of years we've done the conference during the weekday. This year we're doing something a little bit different because in talking with some of the farmers, they had requested that perhaps we consider doing it over a weekend. So we're going to give it a try this year. The first day is Friday, May 20th. We're starting off with a workshop focusing on the nutritional and medicinal side. So I'm calling this Cannabinoid Friday.
Nice.
And it's a workshop that's going to start in the afternoon. So we are going to address some of the cannabinoids and the benefits, the health and nutritional aspects of it on that afternoon as a workshop. And then we move into Saturday, which is going to be more of an overview of what's going on here in the state of Florida from a regulatory perspective. Where are we headed, challenges and solutions, and where are we going? I've got Jeff Whaling coming in with the National Hemp Association. I've gotten for learning about what some of the other states are doing. We've got navigating the challenges and landscape of state federal regulations, and we've got Brian Kuntz with the state of Colorado hemp program coming in to help the state of Florida learn. So it's great to learn and to copy. Perhaps I think what they say, one of the biggest forms of flattery is copying what someone else might be doing. So we want to hear what Brian has to say, what's going on in Colorado. We also want to hear. We've got Jerry Cherney coming in from Cornell University to hear what's going on in the Northeast. And then, we move into some discussions about what's going on with Delta 8, Delta 10. Where's the state thought process on that? So we have the Department of Agriculture cheerleading a discussion on that. We'll then get into hemp research, what's being done here in the state of Florida. We have the University of Florida through their IFAS program doing research in terms of, what's going on in terms of strains of hemp, what works here in the state of Florida under a humid climate. What are some of the pilot projects? I've got some pilot test plants around the state. And so we'll learn about what's going on there. And then finally in the afternoon on Saturday, we're going to be talking about industrial hemp farming, processing, and market development. This is kind of like, our prior conversation just a few minutes ago. But what do we need from processing? Kind of some lessons learned. I've got Melissa Nelson Baldwin coming in from South Bend Industrial Hemp to talk about, their lessons learned in processing. And then we're going to be discussing about industrial hemp textiles, the development of industrial hemp fabric and products. And then finally, the last part of that is it gets into the business side of it, and that's Catherine Zito with Cannabis Business Solutions is going to be talking about marketing, whether that be on the cannabinoid side or industrial hemp business. The tips to receive. How do you market? How do you get involved with credit card processing, e-commerce, that whole aspect of it in business development. And then we wrap it up Sunday. We've got 2 sessions. Sunday we'll end up around noon and wrap it up. But we're going to be reviewing hemp farming challenges and auxiliary opportunities. Got some great presentations there. Talking about industrial hemp, talking about bioremediation projects where, with my background being in the remediation solid waste side, we recognize the plant itself has some fantastic bioaccumulation attributes to it. So we're talking about how industrial hemp might be able to use, to clean up contaminated sites.
Right.
And then the last session is solely on the business of hemp. So talking about selling hemp products on Amazon, introduction of hemp and accounting. What the business owner needs to have an understanding of when dealing with the accounting aspect of their business, because hemp does raise some issues for some of the banking institutions and IRS. Right. And then lastly, what's needed to grow hemp here in the state of Florida and how you can grow your business. So that kind of wraps it up in a nutshell. We will have, networking sessions. It's not a huge show like some of these other events that take place in Las Vegas. This is a more structured, focused business development side. So normally we have 200 to 300 people with, maybe 30 exhibitors right around there.
So if someone wants to be an exhibitor or a guest at the show, what's the best way to register, or how can they find you?
Well, the best thing to do would be pull up the website, which is floridahempconference.org, all spelled out. So floridahempconference.org. And that'll take you to the landing page, and then we've got separate tabs for, the agenda, registration, exhibit, that sort of thing.
How cool. Well, I'm really thankful you're doing this, and I know the people that are attending are going to get some really great value out of it. And to kind of wrap up today's show, do you have any advice for other hemp entrepreneurs or any last words that you'd like to impart on our listeners?
Stay at it. Stay focused. It is such a rewarding industry once you get involved in it. The people are fantastic. I have met so many people across different levels of economic and socio, backgrounds. They are just wonderful. I absolutely love this industry.
That's awesome. I agree. It's been over 18 years when I got the hemp bug, and just knew my mission and purpose the moment I discovered that this could be a food and a resource for our homes and clothing. And that's when I put all my chips in. So it's an honor to meet people like yourself that are supporting this industry and providing really tremendous value. So thank you so much, Gene, and really look forward to attending one of these events, if not this year, very soon, and hopefully collaborating with you on some future projects.
Absolutely, Tyler, and let me say thank you for what it is that you do, because you know all too well that education is so important in this industry, and thank God we have folks like you that are out there doing what you're doing.
Oh, my pleasure. I appreciate it. You don't work a day in your life when you love what you do, and that's certainly the case, I think, for both of us. So thank you again,
Yep.
And thanks, listeners, for tuning into another Hemp episode of Hemp Aware Radio. Look forward to seeing you on the next show. And if you have any ideas for what you want us to cover, you can always send your ideas to support@hempaware.com, or check out just on the website, hempaware.com, and reach out to us if you have any marketing needs or branding needs for your company. You want to find your ideal customers or revamp your website or develop a new product. We'd love to talk to you and help make it hempin'. Thanks so much for tuning in again. And thanks again, Gene. See you, everyone.
Thank you.